Good evening. Good evening. We are going to break down the QQQ chart before the night ends and kind of give an idea of what we anticipate in the market going into tomorrow. Hope everyone had a wonderful trading day, a wonderful productive day in general. If you find this video helpful, please do like, comment, and subscribe. And let's get into it. So I had some questions about my entry and exit for Qs today. So we are going to break that down. But first, let's take a look at the daily chart since that's where I am right now. And a few signals to pay attention to is one, this last daily candle for today closed with a change of character. Um, it also closed with a complete form of the arc, and we lost the 12 EMA, which means that we are now officially off of the 12 EMA, and we will truly need to see what tomorrow brings. There is still opportunities to gap down. I was thinking about this challenge here at this low. If we do continue to trend under this trend line here that I have on my chart. So this is a 628 low. And then we have some liquidity somewhere in this zone here around 595. So I'm not saying that that'll all play out tomorrow, but I do see some potential for more downside. If these great bulls do not show up to lift us back up. So a few things that I will say to watch out for is one, not getting trapped. As you can see, when we open after the gap down pre-market and after our overnight session, you can see the wick here. What we did was the attempt to challenge this particular candle here, which is also the previous week low. So in one discussion, I was sharing that I think it's really important to be mindful of the previous week's high and low, just as much as your previous month high and low and previous day high and low. So look at the monthly candle so far. What have we done? We've went high as trying to challenge December's high, which was 629.21. You see the wick in rejection, and now you see us pulling back. Maybe we'll come and challenge the low of that, which again actually lines up to that 628 that I have in mind. What we would want to see happen is we don't break under that. We want to see a nice bounce from that zone. However, if we do break under it, you might see us come more closer to the 587, 588 zone, which was once a key support area. And I mean, it can go even lower. So I think the market is reacting a lot on Trump, tariffs, and a few other things in the news that's happening. And I think we need to give it more time to really show us that this will be a continued pullback. But as far as the chart is concerned, I mean, we're already starting to see the signals of a rotation happening because you know that QQQ is tech heavy. So this is when you probably want to go ahead and pull out your screener and look at your heat map. So we'll just take a quick look actually while we are looking at the cues to see what was green. So majority of the market and the sectors were all showing signs of weakness. TG was up over 1%. Coca-Cola was up over another. So you've seen consumer non-staples actually have a good day. Um, a mixed day for the most part. You could expand this and then you can see like, look at Monster. Someone did mention Monster in Discord. Up 4%. Great day. Look at STZ up 4%. So there was green in the market. So don't forget to always pull up your heat map when you're not really sure what's happening in the market. I am working to get the link for the sector rotation indicator so that way you guys could add that to your charts and to your arsenal. So anyway, yes, this was actually this is consumer non-durables. This sector did really better than the rest. So something to keep in mind. You may want to look at some of these to see if they have more potential upside as you see some of the other stocks, especially on the tech side of things, dropping. All right, so even on the weekly chart, we are seeing some bearish signals starting to happen here. One, we are starting to see this red line cross here and potentially form an arc. So we'll see how this continues to play out, but paying attention to this crossover with the Wolf Trend Moving Average. We also have candle and price right here so far for the weekly candle closing under the 12 EMA. So price is as low as here. Even though, again, we did attempt to challenge the low of last week, complete fail. Now, I'm sure there were some moments where you may have thought we were recovering, but that really wasn't the case. Much of what happened was we went up, and if we put on, let's see, we are going to go to, we're going to go to our extended hours, and we're going to look at the pre-market right here. So we pretty much traded within the pre-market range. That is a key range that you want to mark on your calendars when you're trying to determine price action. And if we're breaking out, a real breakout will give a really nice move from breaking, retesting, and then going forward. Or same thing from below. And then you just kind of target your support and resistance, order blocks, that type of stuff for where you see price may be going. But anyway, we did push up in the attempt to test that previous week low. Um, and I had pre-market high and low already marked. And as you can see, the rest of the day, once we finally got the rejection, was a trend down. Now in Discord, I've been beta testing um, like with Pro. What was our plan for today? So overall sentiment definitely was leaning towards a bearish continuation. I was able to close about 230% on the 620 swings, and then I also did like another one in Tesla. So let's see, we were looking deeper into what it is. And so today, the primary scenario was sell, failed, reclaim, and we had reclaims. So what we wanted to see was those nice pops and rejections from opening, because as you can see, pre-market, we were trending around 610. So let's go back to our trade plan. So we wanted to see price push into 611.50 and through 615, meaning we wanted to see price drive its way upwards to these targets, and we wanted to see a rejection. So did we get that today when we look at the chart compared to our trade plan? We'll take it off of pre-market and we'll look at that. So yes, when we watch this movement here. One, we did not break ORB to the downside. So even if you were following like ORB, that didn't play out. Two, you start to see that we get a nice bounce, even get an arc here on the 5 minute chart. But you just have to know where we're going. So with the trade plan, we knew that we were looking to try to find um, of resistance in this range right here. We want to see where we were going and if we would get the failure. And so that happened. We drove ourselves up all the way as high as like 615.04. As you can see, that matches up perfect in what I was looking for. I didn't chase the call because I knew we were under previous week low. So unless we were going to reclaim that, didn't see the significance of running and trying to grab calls at an opening. So we let that play out. Um, then we see a 15-minute close back below to the reclaim attempt. So this is our reclaim attempt. And now we want to see price reject there. So if you're trying to understand the trade plan, once we got candles on the 15-minute rejecting here, look at the sell-off. So again, pretty easy day to trade. If you were in swings on charts, then you definitely had a profitable day because the Qs were down how much for the day? We were down $13 for the day, so that's a pretty amazing day. I said if I get 16, I don't have 610 as a target on my swings. I didn't really need to trade, but I did enter like two more trades. It was just too good. So if we were going to counter the trend, the overall trend that we were seeing, what we wanted to see happen was one, 610 hold, which we did get. Two, we wanted to see 15-minute reclaim above 611.50. And we wanted to see pullbacks hold above 610. So all of that really actually did play out in the opening. I know I'm bouncing around time frames, but I did want to break down the trade plan to make sure when the next one is posted, you understand. So yeah, all of that happened. We respected the 610. We bounced. We held 611.50. and we got as high as 615. We had our stop recommendation below 609, and your entry was going to be 610 to 611.80. Um, with a reclaim and hold. And all of that did happen. So if you're like a sniper, you were able to get calls to 615. For me, I want to follow the day trend as much as possible. It's cool to kind of get in and get out, but when you can get this as our overall trend for the day, that's to me more bang for your buck. Less stressful. You really don't have to do too much after that. And then I also did it to where the trade plan included suggested strikes and what to look for in terms of option contracts. And my focus was one, managing my 620 swing. And then my additional focus was also looking to get into a one-day ODTE, which I did. I think that one got like 60% win. Um, so yeah, for the cues, overall, we still definitely have a lot of bearish signals in the chart telling us that we may potentially see more downside. I would love to see this test here at 628, but that doesn't mean that we might not get that reattempt again to challenge previous week high. So you could do the same thing. Just make sure you're not getting trapped into a fake uh, dead cat dead cat bounce where price may jump at opening or at some point in the day that gives you like, oh my gosh, we're going back up, and then that just doesn't happen. If we look at it from the 4 hour time frame, still see the same thing, 600 to about 594, 595. I would like to see that once we get here, we get a nice pop, unless sellers are truly in control. So that's what I'll be looking for on tomorrow is whether or not the next candles give us that move down to 600, somewhere around here, and then down to this area here. And we're targeting this order block, and we want to see that price will hold there or not. If not, we have some more levels down when you look at it from the 4 hour chart. I think the first real test for me would probably be price coming down somewhere right here at 603. I think that did happen like overnight sessions. I don't remember. But I thought I saw QQQ pretty low, or I could have just been sleep watching charts. I don't know. But we'll see about that. That is the story on the Qs, guys. I'm still pretty much seeing potential moves for downside. Doesn't mean that we won't get any green candles, and maybe they are tradable. We now have a very big gap to fill to the upside. So if we do get some news that is positive to the market, maybe we'll see that gap fill. On the 1 hour, we have a liquidity sweep happening here where price is driving through this order block with a wick, but staying within it. We'll see if we lose under 607, 608, and then we'll come look for that target that I gave you guys. All right, so that's going to be the QQQ chart. We will look at Tesla. Now, for about 10 days now, I've been saying 620 Tesla, I'm sorry, 420 Tesla, 420 Tesla. I really just had that belief that we would get back to 420 on Tesla. And so that did play out today and then some. So what we're getting on Tesla, um, well, I guess we can zoom out just to get the overall view again of where we are with Tesla. We are nearing a fair value gap actually as we come closer to this zone here to pay attention to. Now, prices already went within this gap before on the monthly chart, and 411.62 would be that range. Tesla has earnings coming up, so what I've been watching to see is if they're driving price down ahead of earnings, taking profit now rather than later, as earnings is set to report on the 28th. All right, so on the weekly chart, we are getting an arc, getting a crossover. We are losing the 12 EMA on the weekly chart. And I mean, we have a nice interest in potentially coming as low as like the 380s. Not saying that's going to happen. But for sure, I've been looking for like maybe next 400. And then if so, if we get stronger selling pressure, getting under 380 or at 380 as another target. So Tesla is still, in my opinion, a bearish chart from the weekly to the daily. we have what we call a floating candle on Tesla. That means that we've broken this trend line from this move back up. And that happened, let's see, it was created November 14th. And as you can see, Tesla went on a really nice run to the upside and peaked out here. So now what I see potentially as the move as coming to around that 400 area, and I expect that once we get to this 200, when these two meet price to this 200 in this order block, I do think that we have a nice chance to bounce because we have not been to the 200 since August of 2025. So once we finally get there, and I mean, we're so close, I don't see why it wouldn't happen. We should see a nice bounce. I decided not to swing puts on Tesla simply because I just wanted to lock in all of my profits for today and reset. So if you're in puts, I think you're still good on Tesla, and the key watch will be somewhere as we get closer to like 407 to 400. That's when you want to be more cautious about your puts. Let's see. Yeah, all of this aligns. I was just saying in Discord, like we deserve to get Tesla in this zone right here. This is a really nice green zone on the 4-hour chart. And so that again puts us somewhere between 400 to that 380 range. Really nice opportunity here if you want to start seeing Tesla reverse from there. So we'll see if we can get price down here. And then that's when we'll really watch to see if price will hold support around that 380 area. And let's just one more time frame. We'll look at the 1 hour and just confirm. So we have price outside of the wolf trend moving average cloud nearing another order block here at 415. This could probably give us a bounce. This could probably give us a bounce. And if we bounce, if we get to 414 and we bounce, we're going to go tra challenge that previous month low. However, in my idea, we'll get there and then we should reject. Maybe even a little bit higher, but ideally we'll reject once we get there. If not, then you want to start seeing if this is where we would break out. But yeah, I would anticipate that once price gets to this area around 415, 415, we might get a bounce there on Tesla. This is the perfect opportunity. One thing that I've really been sharpening up is my rejections, just as much as when we bounce off of support. Allowing price to bounce and pull up to an area where we would anticipate a rejection. Usually and ideally, those are in unchallenged order blocks and strong resistance zones. So resistance zones. So I do watch that as one of my studies. So that's the story in Tesla. I don't think I have any more on that chart. We will look at Meta. And with Meta, I did share Friday my thoughts that Meta definitely had more the downside. So I recommended a top down. I did not swing shorts on Meta, just stuck with the cues. Um, but with Meta, look at the gap down here and look where we came to. So Meta is much lower. We finally were able to hit the 600 for the low of the day candle. So we'll be watching high and low on Meta. Chart is still bearish. Let's look at it from the higher time frames and see maybe. So here we're in support. We're in an order block. I would say Meta has a little bit more to squeeze out, somewhere around 586, 585, but I would not be playing around too much more in charts if we do get here. Yeah, I wouldn't play too much more, even as low as maybe 568. And yeah, it could keep coming down. I mean, if there's enough selling pressure. Meta has earnings on the 28th. But in my opinion, we're all bearish. You see, you have the ARC. We rejected the retest of the 12 EMA on the weekly. Let's just hide pro for a second so you can see that retest. So see here, we are zooming in and you can see that we're getting the crossover. We rejected the 12 EMA. All signs that Meta was never ready to really pop out. You want to see reclaims of the 12 EMA, especially if you're trying to leap. I don't know if you want to leap when it's under unless you're buying in a unchallenged or pretty strong support order block. And so to me, I'll be much more interested in Meta and I'll be setting some alerts and a trade plan for us coming down a little bit more on that one. So Meta is not that far off. Well, yeah, when you look at it from the weekly, it's about $100. But I mean, it could come down to 200. So we'll keep our eyes on Meta. Again, I think it can squeeze a little bit more into like the 580s before it starts to show a little bit more strength worth adding to your watch list. So I think that's all I'm going to cover. I just want to do a quick call breaking down our trade plan, how to use it and plan your entries. Sometimes it's okay to sit on hands and allow price to dictate what's going to happen next. Those opening candles, like I said, they can pay, but you get much more when you can get quality contracts when you get the right direction for the day on the stock. I hope this video was helpful. If you do find it helpful, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you are interested in using Black Wolf, getting access to the Wolf chart, master classes, boot camps, live trade alerts using the system, a great community. If you want to be able to get into the Secret Society QQQ tab. I'm just kidding, but if you wanted to catch me in the QQQ tab each day, you can also look at that and consider joining the Wolf Pack. To do so, you just click the link in the description of this video, and there you will see how you can get access into the Discord. If you ever do get in, please be sure to tag me and give a shout out at Pretty Wolf Hustle in Discord. I do appreciate all the support and new follows. I want to cover NQ, but I will have to actually upgrade my chart. I just realized that I'm getting delayed data on NQ. So I'm going to update that tonight and put out an NQ plan as well as I'll probably look at Bitcoin as well for some crypto. All right, guys, have a wonderful evening. Thanks again for all the support. Remember, like, comment, and share this video out. Thanks.